This is the most life-changing cancer advice I've ever given, and most people do not listen the first time. Hey, Dr. Amy here, and as an 8-year cancer survivor, I've learned that cancer recovery and remission is not about doing more. It's about doing what actually works. In this video, I'm sharing with you the honest truth about cancer recovery that most people ignore until it's too late. So whether you're newly diagnosed, in treatment, or even years into your recovery, this video is for you. Because ignoring these truths could keep you tired, inflamed, and stuck. But facing them can help you rebuild your energy, your confidence, and your cancer-free future. Starting with number 1. Weight gain after cancer increases your risk of a cancer recurrence. Most cancer survivors think that gaining a few pounds is just part of getting older, or it's a side effect of treatment. But the truth is that this is one of the most common overlooked factors of a cancer recurrence. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Most people do not wanna hear this. When I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, I was exhausted. I couldn't imagine exercising or thinking about nutrition. But as a cancer researcher, I couldn't ignore the data. Weight gain after cancer increases your risk of recurrence by 30%. And for women that gain more than 10% of their body weight, that risk jumps even higher. Now, I know exactly how hard it is to hear this. You've been through treatment, your hormones are chaotic, your body feels unfamiliar, and you're still trying to make sense of this all. But you deserve to know the truth. Most of the weight gain because of cancer does not come from eating too much. It comes from a loss of muscle mass. Chemo, hormone therapy, steroids, they all reduce lean muscle mass and slow your metabolism. Your body burns fewer calories even when you're doing everything right. That's why just focusing on just doing cardio is not going to be all that useful for cancer survivors. Instead, you have to focus on resistance training. Research shows that cancer survivors who lift weights or do strength training 3 times a week, they actually lower their risk of a cancer recurrence by 60%. That is more effective than some of the medications we have on the market. But many women are intimidated by strength training, or they're scared it's too intense for them after cancer, and you can't heal your body without strength training. But that brings me to the second thing that you need to know. Most people will never actually do the things that will help them stay cancer-free. It sounds harsh, but here's where I refuse to sugarcoat this. It's easy to read about exercise, nutrition, mindset, and think, I'm doing enough. But there's a big difference between knowing and doing. When you look at the data, it's shocking. Only 4% of cancer survivors are actually living an anti-cancer lifestyle. 4%. That means 96% of people diagnosed with cancer are not taking the full benefit from lifestyle strategies to lower their risk of recurrence. You might think you're eating mostly healthy and clean. You might take the occasional supplement, but you're not hitting the evidence-based targets that are known to make a difference in your cancer risk. When I work with women inside the Cancer Freedom Program, I always start with numbers. We're gonna look at the data first, not the emotions. How much protein are you getting? How many minutes per week of movement? What's your fiber intake? Are your vitamin D levels, are your magnesium levels, are they in optimal range? A client, Sarah, came to me feeling completely drained after chemo. She believed she was doing everything right. She actually said to me, I can't even imagine what else I would need to do. Eating clean, walking daily, taking handfuls of supplements. But when we actually looked at the data and tracked her nutrition, she was only getting half of the protein that she should be receiving. Half of the protein that her body needs to repair and rebuild. This is gonna repair muscle function and immune function. And even though she thought she was eating healthy, She was missing this target. But within 6 weeks of tracking her nutrition and changing the structure and the strategy, her energy levels tripled. Her lab markers improved. She looked and she felt stronger than she had in years. That's the kind of precision that keeps cancer survivors thriving. Because general health, it's not enough for people who have been diagnosed with cancer. You need the exact strategy, one that is tailored to your metabolism, your treatment, your risk profile. Okay, but now number 3. There's far too heavy of a reliance on supplements. This one might surprise you, probably because you've even seen me talk about supplements. And I believe in them when they're part of a complete plan. Supplements can support you, but they will not save you. Every week, I meet cancer survivors spending hundreds of dollars on capsules and pills and powders, turmeric, vitamin C, mushroom coffee, you name it. Everything claiming that they can stay cancer-free. But here's the truth. No supplement can undo a sedentary lifestyle and a suboptimal diet. Supplements can fill the gaps, but they can't replace the habits. They're icing, not the cake itself. Without a strong foundation in your nutrition and muscle-building exercises, supplements are like putting a roof on a house with no walls. I take just a select number of supplements, and these supplements are directly aligned with my nutrition. And it works because they're built on top of an already strong foundation. Without that foundation, those supplements, they're meaningless. Okay, so before you click add to cart on another supplement, ask yourself if your daily or weekly habits actually align with your goal of being cancer-free. And that leads perfectly into number 4. Mindset is completely ignored. That's often why fear and anxiety linger in cancer survivors for years. I personally know what it feels like to wake up every morning wondering if your cancer is going to come back. I've lived that fear. But here's what I've learned. You cannot think your way out of fear. You need to retrain your brain. As a researcher, I'm used to focusing on the physical side of recovery. But then I started to notice something in my clients. The women who healed the fastest weren't always the strictest with their food or doing the most exercise. They were the ones who actively worked on their mindset. They practiced gratitude, visualization, cognitive behavioral strategies. They rewired how they responded to fear. There's solid science behind this. When you're anxious, your body releases cortisol or adrenaline. Chronic elevation of these stress hormones leads to inflammation and weakening of your immune system. It actually raises your risk of a recurrence. Now, mindset work isn't woo-woo. It's actually neurobiology. And ignoring it is like leaving a wound untreated. One woman inside the program, Anna, is a breast cancer thriver. She used to live in constant fear of her upcoming scans. She'd lose sleep. She'd stop exercising. It's like her entire world just went on pause. And we worked together to retrain her response. We used mindfulness and evidence-based cognitive tools. Within 3 months, her sleep had dramatically improved. Her anxiety score had dropped by 60%, and she started to feel in control again. This is what healing looks like. You cannot be physically free from cancer if you're mentally trapped. Healing needs to address both. Okay, but let's move on to number 5. Stop eating foods that increase your risk of cancer. They aren't doing anything for your health. This is just one of those things that people don't want to hear. I know how comforting it feels to eat the food you've always loved, but these foods are increasing inflammation and damaging your DNA. They do not deserve a place in your diet anymore. We have clear evidence linking processed meat, alcohol, and ultra-processed foods to increasing the risk of cancer. Even moderate alcohol intake, like 1 drink per day, that increases your risk of cancer by around 9%. Processed meat, like deli meat or bacon, that increases your risk of cancer by 18%. So when I see cancer survivors celebrating the end of their treatment with champagne and a charcuterie board, I cringe. I get it, you want to celebrate, but you also need to be proactive. You've fought too hard to give cancer another opportunity to sneak in. Now, that doesn't mean you can never enjoy another food again. This isn't about deprivation. It's about awareness. It's about choosing your health on purpose. When I work with cancer survivors and thrivers, I often see two extremes. Either they eat whatever they want because life is too short, or they cut out everything and they feel miserable. Neither one of these is sustainable. The goal is balance. You can eat for joy and eat for your health at the same time, but not if you just keep ignoring what the data tells us. Every bite of food you take is either fighting for you or fighting against you. The good news is that your body wants to heal. You just have to give it the right tools. Now, here's the part that most people will not say out loud. Being cancer-free isn't just about luck. It's not magic. It's a series of small and deliberate actions. Then repeat this over and over and over again. You can either build a life that protects you or create a life that quietly puts you at risk. The choice is yours every single day. Now look, I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to tell you the truth. Because people that tell you what you want to hear will never help you transform. But I'm not interested in comfort. I'm interested in being free from cancer. I've spent nearly 2 decades studying how cancer survivors heal from cancer, not just physically, but completely. And I share this with you honestly because I care. I care about your health. I care about your life. I've personally watched way too many people just be stuck. No one has the courage to tell them that they need to lose weight after cancer if they want to lower their risk. They need to stop eating processed meats. You deserve someone to tell it to you straight. And what you do with that information, it's up to you. Okay, so now that you know the real cancer advice that you need to hear, here's what you need to do next. You need to know how to put all this into action. That's exactly why I'm linking up this next video for you here. This is your very next step to move out of cancer. Click the link here and I'll see you in the next video.